on this movie, it was very important for me that to be sure that we're faithful to the truth and what people would do in those kind of situations. And because it's a supernatural and weird situation to imagine, what if I do if I wasn't there? What would I do if? But so that's why that was first day one was sitting down with them and going through the story several times and trying to agree with them, okay, we agree that this makes sense, right? And they were all, yes, good, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense, so let's change it. And we tweak everything we need to tweak back then with them, just to make sure that they agree with their characters and the way they behave.
Hold on, baby, hold on, please. Eric and I were gonna put a stop to this, okay? And then we can all go home.
No. David, you're just being a coward. You know exactly what we have to do, but you're just
And
too
then, of
scared
course,
to
we
do it.
rehearsed the trickiest scenes and a lot of drama and the opening of the movie, and the characters are going through very particular stories, so we rehearsed all those scenes. And then, of course, it was, then you do whatever you have to do as a director to get them to the right place. Some days we didn't have to discuss too much about it. And sometimes we didn't want to, or they didn't want to, or I didn't want to, you know, like sometimes it was about, okay, show me what you got, you know, like, and sometimes it's better, you know, like sometimes the actors bring a vision.
The thing I liked about Fede is he created this environment on set that was, no matter what we talked about before, let's try whatever you feel like right now. And that was sort of different for me, and I just listened to him, and I think through that, we found a lot of stuff in the moment. It couldn't be too contrived. I think that being scary and being funny is sort of the same thing to me. Like, I work on a comedy, and you can't really try to be funny, and you can't really try to be scary. It doesn't really work like that.
What else?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Betty wrote this story, so he knows the story extremely well. And from all the rehearsal we had, like, I feel like, and how much I worked on it and how many times I read it, I feel like the story was really in me and these characters were really in me. But when we got to set, there was a lot of freedom. And we got to try all sorts of different things.
Ching! Ching!
You could put this on there first and then...
It's great when it's an organic process and it's not something that you just go and shoot the script, like the process of making it and change it and make it more organic and collectively trying to create something that is way better than the script. I think it's something that I'd love to do.
As an actor, that's so cool because you can discuss stuff with him and you can change stuff if it comes up, if you both think it's right. And if you're kind of a little lost and confused, he knows it inside out and he can give you all that stuff that you need to bring it into the film for your character.
Part of it is in the director, I guess, but a lot of it is in the actor. You know, some actors they really want to give 200% at every shot, and they're ready to go. You don't have to ask them to do it; they will do it anyways. But and also sometimes, I mean, for me, being out here is the way to get the best out of them because they don't have to fake it so much. I mean, when they acting tired, it's because they're tired. When they're acting scared, they're actually pretty scared sometimes.
I have to go get in that shower. Yeah.
Actually, we had one day when Shiloh had to do the scene that he was by himself in the woods, and I took him out of the set and I took him back to the woods back there when everything is dark, and I asked him to stay there for 10 minutes before doing the take. So I leave him there and I tell him about how the culture around here say that this woods is kind of, you know, has some, because there's been a lot of real blood spilled in these woods. So it can be very scary if you want. So I left him there for 10 minutes, and when he came back, he gave it an amazing shot because, I mean, fear was in his heart for real. He didn't really enjoy being alone in the darkness of this forest. So sometimes we do those kind of things just to remind them of where they are and how scary it would be to be out here by yourself, right? Ironically, I would say my favorite scene is when Mia is being buried alive. I was trying to convince everybody that, well, she was going to die.
Get Jane out, please.
Yep.
Can I come out?
Yep, sure.
There's a lot of like old school movie tricks that that Fede uses, and I love it.
When you got back,
Yesterday we were doing this scene when I first came in with a shotgun. I actually shooting a gun. The windows actually burst. There's lightning. There's wind, and like it's so cool.
You always juggling with your resources. You always know that you're not going to have everything you need all the time, so you find a way to do it in a different way. And sometimes it's the fun of doing it that way. You know, like I remember we're doing this scene where somebody gets an arm blown off, right? And we had all this tricky system of devices of explosion on the arm and all that, and we give it a go, and it didn't really work. And we end up like the AD and myself just grabbing the arm and throwing it against the wall and having a splash, and then we got a great scene and a great moment. Anybody that went to film school and heard anything about EvilDead, is always what you learn is that, and what you heard about the movie is that it's all about like creative solutions to the problems and trying to find ways to make things look scary and gory, and they look weird behind the scene, but then in camera they look amazing, and that's what it matters.